So I wanted to set up centers because it allowed me the most time to do guided reading with the most amount of groups, and also I thought it would enable them to be more independent learners, and the less I talk I find the better. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, so the philosophy was that it would build on things we do together as a class, the centers would, but it would be stuff that they could do independently that wouldn't be so difficult for them to do by themselves, and then would allow me to do the guided reading while they're doing the centers. We test them at the beginning of the year and find out what level they're at, and then based on that I put them in groups for guided reading. Their guided reading group though isn't necessarily the same as their center group. I find that lots of times it's nice to maybe have a lower reader with a higher reader in a center group, but they don't necessarily read together. So I group them according to color, and each center group goes and does their center, and then I call individual students to be part of the guided reading group. And then we read based on the level, and I chart it on a spreadsheet.
So Erin, how do you determine what centers to focus on?
So for my class, they all have a language arts focus. So there's the listening center, which builds on fluency and sight word recognition, and then there's also the computer center, which we alternate between different websites based on just what we're doing or how far they are in the year. And they do reading and tracking on the computer as well. And then there's the poem center, which works on sequencing and again sight word knowledge. And then there's spelling center, which alternates between a writing center later on in the year. So they spell our no excuses words, I call them, which are words they need to use every day in their writing 100% correctly. And then the writing is usually later on in the year. They'll write letters or just different forms of writing, grocery lists, things like that.
What are you working on?
Play-Doh.
And what are you doing with the Play-Doh?
Spelling words.
What words are you working on?
You with, okay, this goes here. You, I don't know.
Do you have to spell all of those words with Play-Doh?
This word. Some of the puzzles are getting broken. Yeah. There. There. They're broken. Okay.
At the beginning of the year, we spend probably, I would say, like a good solid month and a half on the process of centers. So before I even really start doing guided reading, I'm circulating around the room. And the rules, we try to keep them simple, and there's 3. and they have to have a center voice, which is a whisper, and they have to use the pass and don't ask, which means they hold up the bathroom pass if they need to go to the bathroom. They don't have to ask. And usually I can catch them out of the corner of my eye and just nod and they can go. And then the other one is ask 3 people before they ask me. So if they have a question or a computer problem or anything to do with what their center is, they can ask 3 people, and if they still don't get the answer, then they can come and ask me.
Erin, what are the 2 main benefits of the center approach?
So far I've seen an enthusiasm to literacy. They want to read, they're excited, they ask every day if we have centers. And also their independent work skills and just being able to solve problems and do it on their own, I find is really beneficial.